So who are we? We are 7Learnings. We are a German company based in Berlin with over 40 employees right now. What we have done is we have built a multi-award winning pricing software that is specifically developed for retailers and brands. And we have proven the impact of our tool in hundreds of different A/B tests where we achieved a very high profit and turnover increase. On average, this increase is around 10 to 15%. So just to give you a little understanding of what predictive pricing is. So we always start by comparing predictive pricing to rule-based pricing. So with rule-based pricing, for instance, you get the goal from your manager to increase profits by 5%. What you will do then is you will think about some rules that you think will lead to this goal. So you set these rules, you get to the prices in accordance with these rules, and then you upload those prices, meaning you will show the prices on your website or in your stores to the clients. And at the end of a certain time period, you can then review the impact. So you will then see how much profit did you really achieve. But then also all the guesswork starts, because you don't know if these results are only from the pricing, or is it maybe as well because of the marketing activities? Is it because of seasonality or any other external factors? It's just really, really difficult to know that. So with predictive pricing, we kind of turn it around. We again start with your rules. So for instance, the 5% profit uplift, but you can directly tell it to the software. So you can say, okay, I want to achieve a 5% profit uplift, and the software will give you the prices. And not only that, you can simulate different strategies, different targets, and as well split your assortment in any way you want, and you can always review what will be the impact in terms of your prices. So this is obviously very important, because in that way you can really refine your strategy and you will know what is going to happen if you're gonna have these prices. And then after you have already reviewed the impact, you can upload the prices and you will know what will happen. And it's not like with rule-based pricing, where it's just a lot of guesswork around if these rules will actually work. So here are several other differences between rule-based pricing and predictive pricing. I will not go into details with all these points, but for sure I want to mention the high level of automation. So also rule-based pricing you can automate, but what you would actually need to do is to run A/B tests of different rules constantly to always check if those rules are still the best ones for your products, for the given time, and for the circumstances. So frankly, a lot of retailers that we talk to don't do that. What you have with predictive pricing is a self-learning algorithm that learns from every new transaction. So it's completely automated and it's always updated, so you can quickly, or the software can quickly adapt and react to any kind of change in the environment or in the variables. Second, the use of competitor prices. Most rule-based pricing logics or softwares are using competitor prices, but it's not really a good strategy to just follow the competition. We call this the blind is following the blind, because no one really knows what is the strategy behind those prices. Maybe the competitor have a different cost structure, they have a different amount of the items left in the stock. So a lot of variables that we don't know. So just blindly following it is not the best option. This is why we can use competitor prices. We don't always do it because, for instance, if you're a brand, it's really, really difficult to find exactly the same price, right? It's not easy to just simply crawl the internet. So in those cases, usually we don't use competitor prices. But like I said, we can include it. But what is very important is that we consider all the other relevant factors, internal and external factors, such as weather, historic transactions, seasonality, or stock. And then a last point that I want to make here is that we are calculating price elasticities. So this is really the core of our software, because price elasticity tells you how does the demand change if you change price percent. So if you understand this, then you can really steer the prices towards any goal that you have. The way that we calculate those price elasticities is that we define, or we identify in your assortment, the variables that make your products more or less elastic. So for instance, it could be a certain brand is more elastic than the other, a certain color, size, anything. And then once we know that, we can kind of derive it for each product. So because we calculate it in that way, we are then also really, really good at setting prices for new products, for long tail products, or for own brands. For any product where you don't have a lot of data, we can help out, because we already have these assumptions of how this product will behave in terms of the demand. Also, something that we can do is we can combine marketing steering and pricing. Obviously, that makes a lot of sense, because your marketing has the goal to increase the traffic on your product website, and then price is one of the key factors that converts this traffic. So if in that way we are trying to find the most optimal combination between marketing spending and price to achieve the best output for you. And we can, for instance, do this on Google Shopping, on Amazon, for click rates, bidding, etc. So just a quick a summary why our clients are choosing us. So it's because of the higher profitability that we can achieve. Like I said, on average 10% profit uplift, but not just profit, also revenue, sales, margin, any goal that you have. Then it's the target steering, so you're really steering the prices towards your goals. You have less manual work because of the automation. And all the forecasts that the software is creating, we can play back to your system, so that you could use it, for instance, as well for the purchase department. Here we can as well see an overview of the different data points that we're using. So I already mentioned some. We're using internal data, that would be product attributes, cost data, stock, transactions, historic prices. Marketing we can also include as an additional feature. And then we enrich it with external data such as competitor prices, holidays, weather, and days of the week. Okay. So now we are in the tool. This is our dashboard. Obviously, this is a demo environment, so we don't have real data behind. But what you could see always here, the different optimizations that have run through. And before I show you how to create an optimization, I will show you what scopes and rules are, as they are very important for the creation of an optimization. So a scope for us is like a way to group your assortment. This scope you can easily create. You just give it a name, and then you can choose from a list of attributes. Obviously, those attributes here, once we connect our software with your data, will be all the attributes of your assortment, right? But let's take as an example, we can, for instance, choose a brand. We can then choose the values, so which brands we want to include. And we can also combine different attributes. Really, we can have here anything that you need, like stock levels, the colors, as well different categories, or simply product IDs. But here we just choose color. We can also always change operators to not equal. And like we did before, we choose here the different attributes. So if we would submit the scope, this would be a group of products from Adidas and American Apparel in black or in blue. Good. Then we go to rules. So these rules can be combined to different scopes. And here we have a lot of different templates for rules. there are a lot, so I think in 99% of the cases, you don't need any rule besides this. But if you have any rule that is not included here, we can also talk to the data scientists and include it. So, what do we have here? We have different rules about discounts, about the optimal price, rules about how much the price change should be. Then we have rules about our marketing options, about stock levels, about anything that you could need. And it's very simple. You just choose a rule. You assign it a value, and you can connect it with a scope, for instance, private label. So then you would say, okay, all these products here in the scope private label should have a discount of at least 40% or more. Good. Then we can go here to the optimization, and I will show you how these can be created. I will choose here a fashion optimization. Again, this is just an example, and it's just an example, and it can be transferred to any other industry. Good. So here again, what you would do is you give it a name. You choose the date range for the time that this optimization should run. You add some rules. So for instance, here we have a rule that tells us, okay, there's a blacklist. All the products in this blacklist, there shouldn't be a price change. And for all the products, we as well want to achieve at least 5% of profit margin or higher. And then we go further down. And here again, we see two different scopes in the same optimization. So here we have a scope, so a group of products, right? So here we have the old season products and the products of the current season. And then here, this is really the important part of our software, which is the forecast, right? So here in our forecast, we see that all these little dots are possible pricing scenarios. And for all of these scenarios, the software tells you how much profit, revenue, sales, and margin you will generate obviously for those products in the optimization and for the time that the optimization is running. The software can tell you the highest profit that you could make, the highest revenue, and the highest margin. The green point here is the current scenario, if you don't change your prices. And then you as a client, you could choose here where you would like to be on the curve, or in other words, you can choose the goal that you want to reach with your prices. And you can do that here for those two scopes differently. So you can have here a different goal for the old season than, for instance, that you have for the current season, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because those are different products. Then once you have chosen your goal, you would click on submit, and the optimization is running through. Usually this takes around 30 to 60 seconds. And while this is running, I will also check if maybe there's one that has already run through, which is this one. So we could already have a look if we don't want to wait. But here in the dashboard, I also just wanted to mention that for each of these optimizations, you always see the overview. So what is the impact, or how much profit, revenue, margin, and sales has been generated with this optimization. So you always have here the overview. But let us open this one. So we click on view, and then up here, the optimization will open. So first of all, you can see here a comparison. So in orange, this is the optimization, and in gray would be the current scenario or the do nothing scenario. You can see then here always the difference in terms of your KPIs for the optimization. And further down here, this is kind of a graph to give you a feeling for what the software has done to your prices. So for instance, here we could see how many products has changed their price, in which direction. So we see here in this example, a lot of products got actually cheaper and some got more expensive. And then here is the final output. This is now on SKU level. So we see here for each product, what is the current price? What is the optimal, the recommended price? We can see the elasticity, and we also see an explain function, which always shows us how the software got to this price point, to this optimal price point. So we would see if we have more rules here, how rules might have narrowed the possible price range, the allowed price range. And if we also include some competitor prices, we could see where the competition is. So this is always, for you to understand why the software, made this price. Then for financials, we have here the forecasted profit margin, and revenue. And we can always add more variables, whatever is needed for you, whatever you would need for your business. So obviously we need the data from you to calculate it, and then we can always forecast these variables. So for instance, here we have different cost factors that we can include in the report, or the raw profit margin, or the tax rate. And the same is also true here for pricing. So if there are other variables that you need, we can include them here. Inventory, we actually have a lot of other variables that we can predict for you, because we can also steer the sell of your stock. So I will just quickly add here some variables. Just a second. And maybe this. So what we can show you here for your inventory, if you include this data, inventory is optional, but if you have an inventory, it's obviously interesting to include it. So we can predict, so first of all, we see the stock level, the current one. We can predict the return rates, the sales before return, then what will be the sell-through rate. And you could also tell the software, if you have, for instance, seasonal products, you could tell the software, okay, and this is the liquidation end value and end date that you want to achieve. And the software then makes sure to really sell off your stock throughout the season at the most optimal price. And so that you don't have to run into a situation where at the end of the season you have a lot of stock left and you need to put drastic discounts and lose on margin. So this is a feature that we as well include. And interesting, just shortly gonna mention it, we also have a feature about the seasonal profit. So the seasonal profit is really a long-term prediction, right, across the whole season of the products, which also includes then costs at the end of the season if you don't sell the products, because obviously if you still have a lot of stock at the end of the season, then you either have to write off those products, which makes a cost, or you have to liquidate that stock in some way, like selling it cheaper, putting it to other marketplaces. So all these costs can be included in the seasonal profit, so that you should always check to optimize towards the seasonal profit. And lastly, here we have the marketing feature. So here what we can predict, for instance, are the clicks, the cost per clicks, or the conversion rate, and as well other factors that you need for your marketing steering. And besides that, you can add more filters if you want to filter down this overview for a specific brand, color, a product category. All this is obviously possible here. This is just a short overview of the capabilities of our software.